Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Jennifer. We are a middle-aged couple with a Regal Unlimited subscription and a deep love for movie popcorn.
Except you betrayed
I did
our
cheat.
special relationship with the Regal Corporation.
I did cheat.
Which we don't have. We have no sponsorship or any kind of connection with the Regal Corporation. You laugh, but first lawsuit, we're in trouble.
There is no reason why anyone would sue.
Yeah, well.
We're not no. The claim to Regal would be to beg them to sponsor us, which
sure.
Of course they want us to pay us so that 40 people will watch these videos. But
Hey,
yeah, per video they would pay exactly like 3 cents.
Maybe they'd give us free popcorn.
There's a lot I would do for free popcorn.
We do have a surprising fondness, a warm, endearing feeling about movie theater popcorn.
Yes,
I just ate some.
Although I did cheat with a chain that actually has better popcorn, so
That's fair. We've talked about the Alamo Drafthouse's popcorn before.
It is better.
It is better. So, what do we do on this YouTube channel, Jennifer? We go see movies, and then we oh god, that was going to be the Flophouse intro. No, never mind. We're making a video for every movie we see together in 2025. For the second time, we did not see a movie together.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have seen a lot more movies this year than I have because
That's true.
But this is a time where we each went and saw a movie reasonably close to each other in time, and so we figured we would tell each other about the movie that we saw.
Yes. And so I saw M3GAN 2.0, or M3GAN 2.0, as the internet wags so salaciously put it.
Which you have been so excited. The first time we saw the commercial for this movie, just
clapping.
Like, yay!
I loved the first movie. The first M3GAN movie was fascinating, and we're going to talk about what movie you saw, though. Okay, 5 seconds about M3GAN 1.0, which is not called that. It's just called M3GAN. And it is...
M3GAN.
Exactly. It is a by-the-numbers slasher, except when it's not. And it has some really great performances. It has some really fun, campy sequences that are not as dumb as they might look in the trailer. And in the end, it made some really cogent points about how reliant we have become on technology and devices, and how that might not be the best thing for children. That it really didn't need to. It did not need to be a smart movie. And it turned out to be a smart movie in the end. And I will tell you, people, M3GAN 2.0, very different. But let's get to that in a minute. So, what did you see?
I saw F1, which was not a movie that I was, clapping with joy about waiting for it to come out. But, figured it would be entertainment for an afternoon now that I am free of many responsibilities. And yeah, it was entertainment for an afternoon in which I was free of many responsibilities. Yeah. So how are we going to do this? How are we going to organize this discussion?
Why don't you talk about what you liked about F1?
So F1 is the story of is the sports movie that you've seen before. If you've seen a sports movie that involves an old tired sportsman, generally an old tired sportsman exists to have some kind of redemption arc. Get reacquainted or reinvigorated in the sport, partially by competition with a young upcomer. Who the old sportsman mentors or torments or both or some version thereof. Usually there's a hot girl or hot woman for the old sportsman to be hot with. And usually the old sportsman wins the day, right? So that is F1. Right? Okay. You have seen this movie before, and that is the story, right? Brad Pitt is the old sportsman. Damson Idris, who I have heard of but never seen in anything before. He was the lead in Snowfall, which I heard was a really great show, and I just never watched.
Oh, yeah. On FX.
Yes. He is the young upcoming sportsman. Javier Bardem is the owner of the F1 team that both of these sportsmen are on, and he was good. Who else is in this movie that I have heard of? Sarah Ellis, who played the doctor in Ted Lasso, was Damson Idris's mom. Right. Who has the line that you see in the trailer where, he said, "Oh my God, this old man is going to come and be on my team," and she sees a picture of him and is like, "Oh, that's not an old man, that's a fine man," She has a few other lines other than that. And then the movie has a ton of F1 people. And the movie is... What's actually interesting about the movie is watching it. Apparently, both of them learned how to drive not F1 cars, but F2 cars. What the difference is between those two, I don't know. But F2 is obviously less technological, and you're less likely to kill yourself, I guess, learning how to drive it. And so a lot of their driving that's shot in the movie is them driving F2 cars that are then disguised to look like they're Formula One cars. And they're driving on the tracks for the actual, the plot of the movie is basically they're going through the last 9 races in an F1 season. And so they are shot at actual racetracks, basically just before or after actual F1 races. So there's a lot, too much of it is watching them drive, but it's visually interesting to watch them drive. Okay. So, the helmets have them just like totally squished. So you really are just looking at their eyes and their hands. And then there's also times where you're watching from their point of view going around these tracks and with cars going around them and in front of them and stuff. And it's insane to watch. And it's just the fuck that people do this stuff and don't die, right? And don't die the first minute. And you get this real sense of it. F1 isn't just about driving, it's the team and the people that do the, quick change of the stuff when they come in for the stuff, and the people who design the car, and, the whole shebang bang, and you get this sense of what all of that adds up to inside this kind of like hackneyed plot that you've seen before. So I actually really enjoyed watching the racing. I wish that I knew more about Formula One, only because there were like 75 actual wildly famous Formula One people in this, and I only recognized 2 of them by face. Lewis Hamilton, I would recognize anywhere. Max Verstappen, I also recognize his face because of Reddit. And then there are all these moments where, like Brad Pitt is like, or Javier Bardem is like walking down, a track somewhere, and somebody stops them and they talk to somebody, and that you're supposed to go, "Oh my God, that's so-and-so." And I don't have any idea who the fuck it is, right? And then I saw in the trailer, in the credits, there's this whole long list of played themselves. And it's like 75 zillion people, and there are quite a few names on the list that I recognized. But I wouldn't recognize some of these people if they came in here and sat down on my coffee table, right? But yeah, so it was probably a 2-hour movie. I would say maybe an hour and 20 minutes of it was driving. What? It was just so much of it was driving. And I maybe only needed about 45 minutes of driving, and the rest of the story, you just knew exactly what was going to happen, right? So it's a serviceable movie, but a surprisingly visually interesting movie, and I didn't really expect that.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, it's not a movie you would have wanted to see.
I don't like sports movies.
You don't like sports ball movies.
Especially because they're so formulaic. And it sounds like this just basically hits the formula.
This was the formula. Yeah, I mean, if we had seen this as a mystery movie, you wouldn't have walked out. But I don't think you would have been particularly...
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you would have been as interested in the visuals as I found myself interested in the visuals. Okay. I think you would have had an appreciation for it. Like,
sure.
You wouldn't have been like... But, you know, I don't think it would... you wouldn't miss anything by not seeing this movie.
There's an anime about a car race called Red Line. It's a science fiction car race.
Mm-hmm.
It goes across multiple planets and like through wormholes and stuff. And it's crazy. It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
This, I'm probably not going to watch this.
Yeah. No, I kind of figured that. I mean, I wouldn't have gone to watch it, except I went with a friend and got to go to Alamo and got to have good movie theater popcorn.
There you go. So, I'm trying to look for how to compare this to M3GAN 2.0.
I don't know if there's a comparison, except that it's a movie that I wouldn't go see.
The first M3GAN movie had a certain amount of formulaicness to it. It reminded me very much, not so much of a slasher as much as the first couple of Omen movies.
I saw the first one of those. I don't remember it, but I know I saw that.
Where people keep dying unexpectedly, and then everybody knows why, except the characters in the movie. And it's obviously M3GAN doing it. I guess spoilers for M3GAN. But...
you know, somehow I think if you were awake in whatever year that movie came out, you know that she's a killer doll.
So, yes, she's a robot that is designed by... So, the movie starts out with this famous roboticist woman is building a robot, and then her sister and brother-in-law die in a car wreck.
Oops.
Leaving behind a 7-year-old daughter.
What's the daughter's name?
The daughter's name is Katie.
Okay.
And the roboticist is named Gemma. And Gemma becomes the guardian for Katie, despite the fact that she has no social skills. This is Gemma. And does not know how to raise a child. So she thinks her best bet is to build a robot that can be a playmate plus babysitter plus defender for this little girl.
Mm-hmm.
And so
reasonable.
M3GAN's main mandate is to make sure that Katie comes to no harm. Now, the story of M3GAN is that the M3GAN robot then begins to interpret that as anything that makes Katie unhappy or scared or is vaguely unpleasant needs to be removed from her life, to the extent that she starts murdering people.
Mm-hmm. Seems reasonable.
There's a final confrontation. Gemma and Katie work together to destroy M3GAN, and she's
neutralized.
Destroyed. Well, she's broken down into scrap.
Okay.
That's M3GAN. That's the first M3GAN movie. The second M3GAN movie starts with Gemma has now become an outspoken advocate for AI safety.
Okay.
Meaning she very much wants very strong regulations about how AI can be used, and especially how it can be sold and exported to other countries and so on and so forth. And she has very clear concerns which are quite well defined and quite accurate, honestly. And they largely, it's not just because this robot tried to murder her.
But that doesn't help.
But it didn't help. So she's joined in this cause by Aristotle Ansari, who is, I think I got the name right, he's one of the guys from Saturday Night Live that you probably wouldn't recognize.
Really?
Yes.
That guy got a job somewhere.
Yes.
Okay.
And he's pretty good.
Okay.
He plays a tech guru who is kind of switched camps, and now he's very much an AI opponent. And Gemma falls somewhere in the level of, AI is a technology that is useful but needs to be very carefully regulated. This guy just wants to get rid of all AI altogether. She's also...
Oh, can I just say, I'm sorry, the other person that's in F1 is the bad guy from Killing Eve.
Okay. Which one?
The guy with the beard.
The Russian guy?
The Russian guy who
Dmitri?
in this one is supposed to be... Where is he supposed to be from? He's not Russian. He's German, I think.
All right.
That's it.
Okay, so the other big name in this movie is Jermaine Clement from...
Really? he?
Yes.
I didn't know he was in it.
New Zealand
Flight of the Conchords.
Flight of the Conchords comedian, and he plays a tech guru who wants to basically to buy Megan's old code, or at least get Gemma to come work for him, and won't take no for an answer. And he has developed a special brain chip that he's wheelchair bound at the beginning of the movie, and then he develops this chip that allows him to walk. Basically by using AI technology to improve his spinal nerves, something like that. Who knows? He's very quickly murdered.
Oh darn!
By Amelia, who is the other main character in this movie, and Amelia is a Defense Department robot that was built by a private company with Defense Department money to become basically an assassin droid.
Okay.
And she is 100% based on Megan's programming.
Okay.
So...
Does she look like Megan?
No, she looks like somebody who John Wick would push aside so he can shoot somebody else.
Okay.
She looks like a very skinny, supermodel-y type person with gigantic eyeballs.
Okay. So she's an adult.
Yes.
Oh.
But she has these big eyeballs because Megan had huge eyes, and so they want to draw this comparison between the two. And she does a great job. I can't remember the actress's name, but she does a fantastic job of acting like a robot. It's amazing. Anyway,
find out who she is.
So Amelia starts killing people. You know this all from the trailer. These are not spoilers. So Amelia starts killing people, and they realize the only way to bring her down is to put Megan in a new body, because Megan's software has somehow survived. She made a backup of herself before she was destroyed. And so she says that the only way that she can protect Katie, which is of course her main programming, that's her.
Ivana Sakno.
I've
never heard of her.
Yes. So the only way to defeat Amelia is to give Megan a new body and send Megan out to kill Amelia. So from the trailer, that should have been the whole movie. Is robot versus robot violence. And I was all on board for that. I thought it was going to be big, campy fun, very silly, high agility, girl assassin versus woman assassin, robot dance fighting in funny costumes. Absolutely ready for that. That's what the trailer looks like. Not accurate at all.
Okay.
So this movie has more twists and turns than a Lazy River, my friends, and it is... We were talking about Lazy Rivers a while ago because it was hilarious. Anyway, so yes, so this movie has plenty of twists and turns. The plot goes so many different places, and it's honestly overwritten. There's too much plot for this movie.
Okay.
There are a few plot twists that I was like, that would be really good in another movie. Like, just save it for the sequel, please. Just leave something on the cutting room floor. Anything. Because this movie is overstuffed. That being said, some of the twists are fantastic, and and I did not see them coming, and some of the writing is really solid and good. There are moments of just incredible humor in this. The original M3GAN was largely... there were tongue-in-cheek moments, but it was never signaled as being comedy. There are moments in this movie that are straight-up comedy, and they work. There's a fantastic scene where Megan starts singing, which I can't spoil for anybody, but oh my gosh, I wish I could. So, it's so good. There's plenty of violence and plenty of robot versus robot dance fighting, of course. But it's not the main point of the story. And it turns out that, of course, that this has all been a plot by somebody else, and then, of course, that person was betrayed by a third party, and at one point they wonder if M3GAN had engineered all of this just to get a new body, and for a second you're like, oh, wow, is that the case? Nope, that's not it either. So it's, like I say, it's overstuffed, but it's overstuffed with good stuff. There's some really fun bits in this movie. I really enjoyed it start to finish. I never felt like it was dragging. I never felt like it didn't make sense in its own logic. it's got that superhero movie thing, like of, oh, well, if we don't stop the Framistan from ejecting through the Jeffries tube, it'll reconfigure the transporter parameters. We were talking about Star Trek today as well. It's got some of that, but it's also got a lot of like really clever takes on AI and how dangerous AI can become if left unchecked, and questions of free will versus determinism. Yeah, this movie didn't need to be this smart. M3GAN didn't need to be as smart as it was, and I don't think that anybody in the theater except me really appreciated the smartness of it. I think they just wanted to see robot versus robot violence, and they got that. Just like in M3GAN, they got M3GAN dancing with a sword made out of the blade of a paper cutter. Like, yeah, it was pretty good. I actually liked it quite a bit.
All right, I'm glad, because you were excited for the existence of a M3GAN 2.0
Yes.
before you knew anything about it.
I believe what I said was, that is going to be so bad, and I am here for it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it turned out to be pretty good, and I'm still here for it.
Excellent.
M3GAN is a great villain. She's a complicated anti-villain, an anti-hero, whatever you want to call her. And I think that she is right up there with Chucky and, other horror movie icons.
Mm-hmm.
I think absolutely the cult hit quality of M3GAN 1 was well deserved. And I think that M3GAN 2.0 absolutely lives up to that legacy.
All right.
So what did you not like about F1?
Oh, I mean, it's utterly not believable that a 60-year-old man is driving an F1 car.
Okay.
I mean, Brad Pitt in general is too big a person. Like, those guys weigh 4 pounds and they lose like 2 of those pounds in the races. I mean, they like sweat so much. It's like an insane physical task to do those races. And the idea that Brad Pitt ever did that is insane. And the idea that you could not be in F1 since 1993. They do this really, actually very good job of creating old footage of him when he was an up-and-comer in F1. So, it's like, yeah, he was an up-and-comer, and then he had this horrible crash in 1993, and he's been fucking around doing all sorts of other crazy shits for the last 30 years. It's like, yeah, you don't do that and then just show up and, like, do an F1 race. Like, come on now. Like, that M3GAN makes more sense. You know what I mean? Like, Superman makes more sense. Like, that just does not make sense. Like, that's the guy that you hire to, like, coach the up-and-comer, not to drive with the up-and-comer, So that was just utter nonsense.
We talked about how this was similar to Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah.
Where the 60-year-old man comes out of retirement because...
He's not out of retirement in Top Gun Maverick. He just never let himself get fucking promoted.
Well, he wasn't a fighter pilot.
Yeah.
He was a test pilot.
Yeah.
At the beginning of that movie.
Whatever. Like,
so the 60-year-old man has to come out of retirement because the youngsters just don't know how to do the thing that he was good at.
Right.
And so he has to teach them, and then, of course, not only teach them, but then also win the competition against them.
Exactly. And, Major League did this with a guy who appeared to be 40, which is about the top of a baseball player. But there are plenty of people who've played baseball at 40, right? Like, there is nobody who's driving an F1 car at 60, and
or flying a fighter plane for that matter.
Not at all. And, Brad Pitt wants to believe that he looks younger than 60, and he does.
Sure.
But he looks like he's 55, and there's nobody who's 55 who's driving an F1 car. So, yeah, that I was just kind of like, okay. There was no actual reason for there to be a sex plot, like... except, like, there's a guy, and we've said this guy is sexy, so therefore he has to fuck a girl. But
how old was she?
Mid-30s, 40.
Okay. So Top Gun Maverick, at least Jennifer Connelly was, like, reasonably aged for him.
Yeah.
Like,
and
only 10 years younger than him.
Yeah. And Carrie Conlon, who I don't know that I've ever seen her in anything. is the head designer for the team. So she has like a meaningful, responsible role on this team, and somehow she just can't not find his dick and enjoy it. And that was not necessary in the slightest.
Just got demonetized.
You know, and?
I know, we're not monetized. It's funny.
The monetized. I'm monetized by my paycheck, you know, like that's it.
Nobody's paying us for this.
Exactly. Yeah, you know, that was like not necessary, right? Like none of that was necessary. Yeah, I mean, otherwise, yeah, you know, it was just, you know, Major League might have been the first of these movies that I ever saw, and I really enjoyed it, you know, but that was also like a whole bunch of quirky characters on the team, and it was meant to be a comedy, right? Mm-hmm. And this is meant to be like deadly serious, because F1 is deadly serious, and it is fucking deadly serious, but it's so much money, like, which I knew, but just it's such a technical sport. Like, it really is about the equipment, right? Mm-hmm. And like any sport that's about the equipment, you know, then that's what makes sports expensive. Mm-hmm. But this equipment is like tires that you use for 10 laps, right? And then they're useless, right? Like, you know, I how many cars they went through, like, because they were crashing these cars left and right? Like, you don't repair them. Like, you just get another one. But, like, they cost bazillions of dollars. It's, like, insane. And that was part of the point of the movie of, like, you know, this is the downtrodden team, and, you know, if they don't win something, they're going to have to be sold and stuff. And money was an issue. But even still, like, just, man, it just, as a sport, it's bonkers. It's just bonkers. And like with any sport at kind of like the highest level like that, you know, all of the people involved in the sports at that highest level, as far as I'm concerned, are clinically insane. Like, there is no reason or way to love anything that much, but of course there is, and people do.
Sure.
And, you know, that wasn't something I didn't like about it. It was just something that I was constantly like, you guys were all crazy. Mm-hmm. Like, you could just do something else.
like stamps.
Or drive cars that are less likely to instantly kill you, you know? Like, you could still drive in twisty circles for fun, but could you go, like, 50 miles an hour slower? Or, like, have a car that costs, like, $1 million rather than 10? You know, why? You know, and I mean, why not is the point. And because you can, and because you used to drive, like, you know, different kinds of cars that were less technologically designed, and, you know, like, but now you have, like, computers, and now you have, like, more money that exists in the world to be used in things like this. And, you know, investors need places to put their quadrillions of dollars, and one of the things they put their quadrillions of dollars into is designing race cars that cost umpteen quadrillion dollars. Like, it's another human activity that, when you stop and think about it, you're like, right, humans' brains are too big. We don't need that much brain. But because we have that much brain, why not? It's like, okay.
Absolutely one of the themes of M3GAN 2.0.
Yeah. That people's brains are too big?
People's brains are too big, and they use them to build technologies that we should not build, that are dangerous to us simply because we can.
Yeah, that was not the message of F1. The message of F1 is you're supposed to fall in love with those dangerous technologies. But it's something you took away from it. But for me, I did not fall in love with those dangerous technologies.
Also, in M3GAN 2.0, there's a scene where M3GAN takes over a incredibly high-tech sports car and drives at like 250 miles an hour through city streets. So
that is the synergy.
Last time it was Hard Eyes versus Love Hurts.
Well, we knew there was a synergy. It was our
Valentine's Day issue. Our Valentine's Day episode. This is our more technology than you really need special.
Yep.
All right. So what did I not like about M3GAN 2.0, you ask?
I don't know, because is there anything you didn't like about this movie?
There were quite a few things I didn't like about this movie.
Okay.
It was like I said, it was just too much.
Oh yeah, too
There was
many
just too many
twisties.
twists and turns. There's an incredible subplot about a photocopier that gains sentience that absolutely should have been the script for M3GAN 3.0.
Okay.
They could easily have cut that out, saved it in a Word file somewhere, and then used it to make an entire movie, which would have been a great movie. Would have been a fantastic M3GAN 3.0. Sadly, the subplot just doesn't get off the ground because they don't have time.
Yeah.
There are all kinds of things like that in this movie. At one point, Aristotle and Thari, when talking about the dangers of AI, talks about the paperclip problem. And this is a very real issue with a silly name that keeps AI safety people up at night, which is if you design an AI and give it a purpose, say to make paperclips as efficiently as possible, the AI, and then you give it unlimited resources, the AI will eventually, and even if you don't, it'll take those resources for itself, will eventually harvest the core of the planet Earth for the iron in it to make more paperclips. And this gets thrown away offhandedly. There's a longer version of it that everybody should have heard at some point in their lives because it absolutely identifies the danger of technology with a purpose that you're not allowed to change. But it just gets thrown off offhandedly in the movie, and then he's making reference to paperclips, and nobody in that theater got what he was saying. I guarantee it. I only knew because I personally had played a game called Universal Paperclips that is about this particular AI safety problem. Anyway, I'm being a little holier than thou about all this. I think that the movie trusted its audience a little too much. Because there were parts where I was having trouble following the plot. And I am a science fiction writer. I should be able to follow
anybody's harebrained plot.
And there were just so many things that just weren't explored as fully as they could have been. This was not attempting to be Ex Machina, which I think is still probably the best movie about AI and the dangers of it. I think it's not trying. This movie wasn't trying to be devs, although it absolutely was about tech developers and gurus and executives. But it was trying to be all these things and more, and so it ended up just spreading itself too thin, while laying it on too thick.
Gotcha.
And it does suffer for this. They really could have cut a bunch of the script, and had it just be M3GAN versus Amelia. Again, what I liked about the movie was that it was more than that.
Right.
What I don't like about the movie is it was too much more than that. Yeah. So, yeah, they could have slowed down and taken their time a little bit more. Otherwise, I'm trying to think of other things I didn't like about it. There was one comedy bit that was totally over the top and did not belong in this movie. But that was the same thing with Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, or Final Reckoning. With the scene where Tom Cruise goes off and murderizes all those guys.
Yeah.
And not Rebecca Hall. Who's
is that
Haley
Emily?
Atwell.
Is that Haley Atwell?
Haley Atwell is just sitting there going, "Oh my god!" watching it all happen off screen.
Yeah, that is.
And it's played as this very silly joke. Mm-hmm. And you're like, that does not fit the tone of this movie at all.
Yeah.
And there's a bit, where a guy is crawling through a ventilation duct. You'll know it when you see it. And it's just like, no, that's not the right register for this movie. Mm-hmm. Anyway, but yeah, I'm kind of nitpicking at this point, right? Because I think that there is a lot of really strong stuff in M3GAN 2.0. I think they absolutely knew they had a hit on their hands with M3GAN 1.0, and they wanted to capitalize on that. And they got some really talented, smart people to work on it. Again, oh my God, give me a whole movie about that photocopier. Oh, that would have been great.
Well, you need to pitch that online. Maybe they will pick up the idea.
Becomes the most dangerous photocopier in the world. And absolutely, you could have done the paperclip, an analogy as a movie with this photocopier, and it would have worked great. But that's not what they chose to do. They chose to make that a kind of go nowhere subplot, which is sad. Oh well.
Oh, well.
But overall, I really liked Megan 2.0. You really liked F1.
I wouldn't say I really liked it.
Okay.
I
But you
enjoyed
enjoyed
it.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think both movies are worth seeing. F1 if you like sports ball movies. I don't particularly. It's interesting. I never thought of Top Gun Maverick as being a sports ball movie, but I guess it is.
Mm-hmm.
The Top Gun movies are definitely sports ball movies.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I know people hate it when people say sports ball
Sports ball.
because it's so dismissive of the thing that they love.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not a big sports fan.
What to tell you is this is our longest video by far.
Oh wow. Yeah, I thought. Okay, well, it's about 2 movies.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we should probably wrap it up. All right, Jennifer. Final analysis: F1 score of 1 out of 5 stars.
We haven't been
1 to 5
We haven't
stars.
been ranking movies. We haven't been starring movies.
Because Megan 2.0 is 5 stars, thumbs up.
I'm glad you feel that
No,
way.
I honestly don't. But it is a good movie, and I
You
really
really
enjoyed
enjoyed it. I can feel that you really enjoyed it. I did not enjoy F1 the same way, but I'm not the audience for that movie. I don't have a driver's license. Like, come on. I am by far not the audience for that movie.
Fair enough.
There is a person that we both know that I would love to know what they think about that
Yes.
movie.
Man who races sports cars for fun.
Yeah. So, yeah. I don't know what people who actually know something about this think about this movie. I enjoyed it. It was fun. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
That's good enough. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.